Hello, dear friends. Have you ever looked at your life and asked, why do I keep starting things but never finish? I asked myself that many times. I wanted to read more books. I wanted to eat healthier. I wanted to wake up early. I wanted to exercise, but most of the time I started with energy, only to stop after a few days. I blamed myself. I thought maybe I was weak. Maybe I had no discipline. Maybe I was lazy. One day, while searching for answers, I found a book that people everywhere were talking about, Atomic Habits by James Clear. The idea was simple but powerful. Small changes, repeated daily, lead to big results. Not giant leaps, not massive goals, just tiny habits like atoms. It's the smallest building block setting up to transformation. And I thought, what if I tried this for 30 days? What if I really tested in my own life? That was the beginning of my 30-day challenge. When you decide to change your life, the first day is always filled with excitement. I told myself, this is it. For the next 30 days, I will focus on habits, not goals. But here's the truth. Excitement is not enough. Habits are not built in one day. So I began small, very small. Instead of read 50 pages, I told myself, read 1 page. Instead of work out for 1 hour, I told myself, do 5 push-ups. Instead of write a chapter, I told myself, write 1 sentence. At first, it felt silly. Could 1 page really change my life? Could 5 push-ups really matter? But I remembered the book's wisdom. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Like money growing in the bank, small habits grow with time. So I trusted the process. The first week was not about results. It was about showing up every morning. I read 1 page of a book. Sometimes I ended up reading 10. Every evening I did 5 push-ups. Sometimes I felt strong enough to do 15. Every night I wrote 1 sentence in my journal. Sometimes the sentence grew into a page. The rule was simple. Do it, even if it's small. This is where most people fail. They dream too big, too fast. They set giant goals, and when they cannot reach them, they quit. But small habits are different. Small habits are light. They are easy. They don't scare you. By the end of week 1, I learned the first real lesson of Atomic Habits. It's not about how much you do. It's about who you become when you keep showing up. The second week was harder. The excitement faded. There were days when I didn't want to read, didn't want to exercise, didn't want to write. The old voice in my head whispered, see, you can't keep this up. You always quit. But this time, I remembered something. Habits are stronger than motivation. Motivation is like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy. Habits are like the ground beneath your feet, steady, reliable, always there. So, even when I didn't feel like it, I did the bare minimum, 1 page, 5 push-ups, 1 sentence, and slowly I began to notice something new. I was building identity. I was no longer someone who wants to read. I was becoming a reader. I was no longer someone who wants to exercise. Was becoming active. I was no longer someone who wants to write. I was becoming a writer. Habit was shaping me. By the 3rd week, something magical began to happen. The small habits were compounding. That 1 page turned into finishing 2 books in 3 weeks. Those 5 push-ups turned into 30 push-ups, plus stretches. That 1 sentence turned into 2 full journal pages, filled with reflection and gratitude. And with each win, my belief grew stronger. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a failure. I felt alive. I felt capable. The truth was clear. Small wins create momentum. When you win today, you want to win again tomorrow. I was no longer pushing myself. The habits were pulling me forward. By the 4th week, my life looked different. Not because I had achieved massive success, but because I felt a new kind of freedom. My mornings were calmer. I started the day with reading and gratitude. My evenings were stronger. I ended with exercise and reflection. My mind was clearer. I believed in myself again. But the greatest change was not what I did, was who I became. I learned that discipline beats motivation. Identity shapes actions. Environment is stronger than willpower. I placed books on my desk so I would see them every morning. I put my workout mat in my room, so exercise was always one step away. I kept my journal on my pillow, so I could not go to bed without writing. I was not relying on memory or strength. I was designing my environment to support my habits. This was the secret. This was the power of atomic habits. So, after 30 days, what changed? I read 3 books. I built a daily exercise routine. I wrote more words in my journal than I had written in the past year. I felt less stress, more energy, and more confidence. But the most important result was invisible. I trusted myself again. For years, I told myself I would change, but I never followed through. Now, I knew I could. That trust is priceless. That trust is freedom. The 30-day challenge was not really about habits. It was about proving something to myself. That change is possible. That big dreams are built on small steps. That identity is stronger than goals. The hardest part of change is not starting. The hardest part is believing you can stay consistent. But when you keep your habits small, consistency becomes easy. And when you stay consistent, transformation becomes inevitable. My dear friend, maybe you also feel stuck. Maybe you have dreams, but no energy. Maybe you start and stop. Maybe you think you are weak. Let me tell you the truth. I discovered you are not weak. You just need a different system. Start small. Start with 1 page, 1 push-up, 1 sentence. It may feel like nothing at first, but trust the process, because one day you will wake up and realize the book is finished. Your body is stronger, your heart is lighter, your mind is calmer, and more than that, you will realize you are no longer the same person. You are someone who shows up, someone who grows, someone who believes. That is the gift of atomic habits. That is the power of small steps. That is the freedom of transformations. So today, I invite you, take your own 30-day challenge, not to change everything, but to start something. Not to be perfect, but to be consistent. Not to dream big, but to live small habits that create a big life. And remember, success is not one giant leap. Success is tiny steps, okay, taken every single day.